this is that's Baby Gambino.
Baby Gambino. It might be him too.
Yeah. Childish Gambino says, "This is America," and so I thought it was so ironic that now you want to talk to me, you want to stop me. I couldn't get fucking to the end of the school with everybody saying, "Oh." And John, because that's John. Like, and then everybody went, come like my son, like, that's the kind of energy that was. So, but what happens is, once you start tapping into your magic, you realize this is their Jedi mind trick game, and the problem with that is they don't know any better because they've bought into this reality. They've been programmed. So exactly like where I've for 30 years, as July 2nd, I've worked in a system that. When I came to the system, I was hired to bring new hope into the system, and I did it with a program called Save Our Youth. For 13 fucking years, I brought it. People change. When you go to my Facebook, Loris Hervey is a friend of mine.
His son's at every one of the protests with me.
Yeah.
Everyone.
It's like, so the issue with it is, I was able to be a part of young people's life and do some change, and they cut it because these systems...
Because it worked.
These systems are designed to do what they do. They're designed to create that type of habit in your life. And they will come after males first.
Yeah, no, man. It sadly works.
Yeah, no,
I'm telling you.
Yes.
I didn't realize.
It worked. It worked in the past.
I did not realize that I didn't have to fit into the box until I was like 22. Just one day I was just thinking. And like, honestly, I have to give a lot to T because it was during that time of like me not having a job. And she was like, all right, well, you can come work with me. And like we'd be driving and we'd have all this time of driving and I would just talk to her, you know, like, and like I never told many people about like why I didn't think I wasn't shit. And like you'd never think that I thought that about myself because the way I carry myself. Yeah. But like I just remember all my talks and like I was telling her, I was like, this bitch really made me think that like I needed to fit in this box. And in the first or second grade, whenever that was, up until coming from Colorado, my sophomore year in college and hitting rock bottom, I didn't realize you don't have to be in a fucking box. And that was the day I started realizing everything started changing for me. I was like, wow, I really make every decision that I do. Like everything that I can do, I just have to fucking do it. And then I restart school. And it's not, well, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, well, let me try to just fucking do it. Now I'm getting college scholarships and grants and on fucking dean's lists and shit because, well, you got great grades, kid. Like, you know, what the fuck? And here I am thinking to myself, well, what the fuck am I doing? And the only thing that I was doing was, I don't give a fuck what any of the outside world has to do because if I just do it and I know what I'm doing and I don't be like, oh, well, let me be in the box with all the other people, then like you can't lose anymore because once you believe in yourself and you realize like anything that you put your mind to, uneducated or educated, if you put your mind to it, you're going to do it. I just started realizing, I was like, I believed this whole lifetime, or at least from when it started to count, that like I wasn't going to do much because I believed what they told me. And then one day I was like, am I dumb? Like, am I dumb? Like, what the fuck was I thinking that I wasn't going to do anything? Like, I just thought that I was going to be some average statistic black kid because that's what the world told me. And then one day I realized I live in Camas. I mean, it's not my home, but like, I live in Camas. And I moved from Columbia out near the Ville, basically down the street from Columbia Villa, into Camas with a good school system. Still, you know, iffy because things were just different. But then I realized it was because I was trying to fit in this weird, like, oh, let me be like everybody else. And I was like, well, what the fuck would I want to be like everyone else for? And then I'm walking around like this dumbass clone and that dumbass clone, and I want to wear the same clothes that dumbass has. And I was just like, being free is a tapping in with the inner you and realizing I can do anything the fuck I want. No one can tell me what I can't do. No one can stop me from doing what I want to do. And at the end of the day, it's like, it was as easy as that. It was as easy as realizing like, oh wow, like I don't need approval from anybody but myself. Mm-hmm. Like, Because if I fail, I failed. I'll restart. You know, like it was, but because I was buying into this system of like needing to fail so that they could prove the point, I gave into it. And then I realized,
fuck that.
What the fuck? Yeah. Fuck that. Like, and now I'm proud of myself. Like, I'm so proud of myself because I never thought I could do it. Never thought I could do it. I'll tell anybody that. I never thought, like, fuck, bruh. I felt bad for you sometimes because I thought you felt bad for me. And I was like, well, that sucks because I don't know what to tell this nigga. There were times where I was just like, I don't know what to tell him. Because I just, like...
Yeah. But that's the thing that people don't realize. Sorry, I know I'm behind the counter. But that's the thing that people don't recognize is that it's constant and it's systematic. Not only to the black men, but the black girls. Adia experienced so much shit at Camas that is like, it's like appalling that I even give my tax dollars to something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it is offensive. And the coaches were like, oh, we had bets that you weren't going to graduate.
Yeah.
People would steal stuff from Adia because they didn't want this black girl to have a North Face jacket and Ugg boots. Like, who do you think you are? I'm white and I don't even have that.
Yeah.
And they steal that shit from her. And we go to the school and the administration does nothing about it. It's not okay. But back to the point about Halim and the sorting of everything, it's like, I want you to acknowledge that what your dad was trying to get at was that you were like, why would I put like things? And what's a like thing?
Yeah.
We're all different. Just
different.
because these are two orange blocks doesn't mean they're different. They could be cut from a different piece of wood. They're just painted orange.
And in all honesty,
you know what I mean?
If you would have sorted them, it was like anything. And that's correct. I put my triangles with the other shapes, like the rhombus, like the ones that I was doing.
You want me to sort by color, or you want me to sort by shape?
I was like
what's the task in hand that we're trying to accomplish here? What are you trying to entrain me to do?
And she's looking at me like, what the fuck?
And you're 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever the case may be, and it's like, how fucking dare you make a child wrong for anything? You're a teacher.
In front of everyone.
You're supposed to educate people.
Yeah.
Even if it's the dumbest task at hand, because why are we sorting shit? Which is what you were aware of and should be acknowledged for. Anyway,
no,
so it's true.
But that's the whole point of the system, and it starts at the educational level.
Yeah,
you know,
from a very young age.
What happened in the segregational to the Jim Crow era? Once people got their freedom, they were put in the poorest parts of the country. What you have housing taxes go straight into the schools. The black communities didn't have strong housing, so they didn't have strong schools. If you don't have the strong schools, you don't have the strong education.
Yeah.
You have bad teachers who make bad money, whereas the other, neighborhoods, predominantly white, had great property values, so they had a lot of money in their schools. They had good teachers who made good money, extracurricular activities, all these different opportunities. So that's the thing, is like, you can, yes, and this was where, some of these, conservative people, they get so caught up in this, well, there's a lot of wealthy black people, you just gotta, you gotta make it. It shouldn't be 10 times as hard for you to make it, and that's what the system that needs to break down. That's what you have to get rid of at the core of it, because like Halim said, he was basically brought up to make himself believe he was a failure.
And that's exactly
and that's the whole point. It's like, if we haven't already done enough to take the money out of the value of your education, we're just going to give you the worst teachers we can who make terrible money, don't even want to be there, and then hopefully they'll just teach it in you that you're not going to be shit anyway, because that's how we have them feeling too.
Yeah.
And so that's the root of the problem, is like, that's what systematic oppression is. They got rid of Black Wall Street, in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So you gotta tell me what that is, because some people might not know what Black Wall Street was.
Well,
What's that?
It's basically a row of wealthy Black Americans in what was in the 1900s. I know that, but they were in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1900 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was the first time in U.S. history that the U.S. bombed its own country. They literally they bombed it, they burned it down, they killed everybody in there. They got rid of the small amount of wealth that the black community was able to conjure up for themselves, because that would have allowed them to start educating themselves, governing themselves, you know, literally living the American dream. Like I said before, what I was saying before, you know, racism and all these social biases doesn't matter if everybody's on an equal playing field. Like, nobody cares about what your bias is over here. If we're both on the same playing field, you can choose whatever's in your heart. You know, that's up to whoever you believe in, whatever God you pray to. You know, you'll answer to them if you have a good heart or not. But like I said, if everybody, that's what the redistribution of wealth to these communities, reparations, is not an unjust or unbelievable thing. You know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of property in this country that Black Americans own. They don't own anything. You know, they live in government funded, you know, houses like all across America. And it's not to say that you can't break from these systems, but the way that they're set in place is it makes it extremely hard to do so. So
let me ask you this before I go. I'm gonna ask questions at the end about how do we change this. But I want to see, do you have anything you want to share about your experience at school, at Camas, or at Whitworth?
Or the riot.
Or anything.
Anything. What's your insight?
I guess just a few statements I would make is like, it's very clear that the system above all else is intentional.
Yes.
Because like off what Sam was saying about Black people not having much property and like other things like to own, like own personally. Like when they say that like African Americans are destroying their own like neighborhoods and like their businesses and stuff, like you said, there's not much to be destroying that belongs to us, seeing that we don't own it. Like you guys were so upset over one Target being destroyed, but you weren't that upset when we watched George Floyd get murdered on camera. Mm-hmm. And you weren't that upset when it happened before George Floyd with Tamir, Trayvon, like Breonna. And so I think it's hard to live a normal life when like your circumstances are so dreary, because you have to like battle that. And then if you're someone like Halim, countless others who have grown up in a system that tells them that they're always going to be less fortunate because of X, Y, and Z, and then they grow up believing that, it's a lot to deal with. And I think African American youth in particular, we have so much to battle growing up. Like we're robbed of our innocence. We're thrown into adulthood earlier than others are. And it's very overwhelming. And so it makes conversations like this, especially for me, I have a hard time with it, because it's like, this is your everyday life. Like what we're talking about right now, like we live through it every day. And it's so hard on yourself to like keep having this conversation, because like to my friends, I'm always like, well, what else do we do? Because like our grandparents and like our parents have had to deal with these injustices. And I think it's beneficial in the sense that it influences how we handle ourselves today. But it's kind of sad that they made sacrifices that were supposed to be beneficial for the future, and we're the future, and it's like Nikita said, it's squandered because we don't know how to focus on more important matters. Like unity should be like of the most importance to people, but we're too busy focusing on finding reasons to not like one another, finding reasons to justify these killings that are racially biased. Like I think a lot of us can attest to the experiences we've had growing up in the educational system. Yeah, like we all have our own stories for that, and I don't want to get into mine because, like, you know, we could be here all day discussing it, but it definitely influences your outlook, and it influences who you surround yourself with, your work environment, just your social environment in general. It's with that being said that I felt a need, just tying it back into like the protests, like I felt like it was the least I could do to be in attendance, considering there are people who can't even go to the protests. Then you have people that are unaware of like why we're protesting, and then like you have the distortion of media, so like the message is being misconstrued because they're only highlighting certain aspects of these protests to make it fit their agenda. And I think a lot of us have just become complacent because we see, like, for those who don't have social media, this is like the one time where I'd say it would help to have at least like a Twitter account, because you see the footage that like people are experiencing in like all the states. Like I saw on Twitter that all 50 states and like 18 countries one day all were protesting at the same time. But then like when you watch the news, you see somebody destroy a cop car and light it on fire. But then you see that whole video and that like that cop car ran over a bunch of people. Yeah. And people are like, well, we're going to burn it down because they just ran over my friend. But they're not showing that.
On foot, 4 of them came up, shot you at close blank range, flashbang, you concussed grenade, and then run to the car and drive off. Yesterday, they were chasing us down, shooting at us. I'm talking, there was a cop maybe 10 yards behind me, and I had my mask on. And I turned around and I told him, I was like, bro, you can gas me all day. I was like, I have a gas mask, dumbass. Flashbanged me. I could not believe it. That motherfucker rolled, boom, right in my face. And I was lost. I was like, okay. What sense does that make? You feel me? Like,
so let me ask you all this, because we're coming to a close. With all that you know now, what are you willing to be? This is a question I would like each of you guys to answer in closing. What would you be willing to be and do to create a whole new, different way of being and a different type of reality than what we have right now? Because the stories are amazing. I don't know how Gino and this guy's going to actually go through this. I'm going to keep on saying this because this is long, and I almost want to keep the whole footage, but I think it's a bit long. But because everything that each one of you guys said is so fucking deep. But I want to end on, for people who are going to watch this on YouTube at a later date, what would you ask of them for themselves, regardless of what race, color, size, country they come from? What would you ask for them to do for themselves to change this world?
keep an open mind and educate yourself.
We're in the information era. All of the information you could possibly ever need. Check your sources, double check your sources, make sure what you're reading is credible, but all the information of your country's history, the world's history, is out there for you to achieve. If you understand how your own government works, how your country works, you can be free from the systems they set in place and use the systems they have set in place to change them. They're set in place for us to be able to use them for what we need. We just don't know it. So I would just ask for everybody to educate themselves. Education is freedom.
Okay. True education. Not what, I guess, the institutions are giving you, because institutions actually calm you down.
Just gaining knowledge, reading books, articles. Credible, though.
Credible.
So let's back up. When we say credible, because I can be
actual documentation,
not
Wikipedia,
not Reddit,
real documentation,
real
excerpts from books.
So okay. I guess the question I'm like, what about your knowing with that information? Like when I got certain things, like when I got the information that Christopher Columbus discovered America, I didn't have to wait to ask questions like, well, weren't the Native Americans here already? So that's that. So what about your knowing? I'm just asking, what about, because education sometimes is manipulated in this reality. It's manipulated in this reality. So the question I'm asking with that, I agree with education, but education, remember, is of this reality. Some of the experiences you guys are talking about happen outside of this reality. If I'm correct, you have to look outside of that. So do you trust your knowing, like the thing that's inside of you? Do you trust that like this is not right? This is a lie. Do you understand the discernment when I'm talking about? Do you guys use that as also education?
Of course. But then now you get on the topic of moral compasses, and I believe that's different for everybody.
Okay.
So what's right and wrong is different for everybody.
So let me ask you this: Is anything truly right or wrong?
No, because what's right about this is we're protesting police brutality, and they're giving us everything we need on our television.
Well,
and the only time they switch up is when it just so happens that, like, the Oregonian took a video off, can't even find it, and the police ambushed peaceful protesters. I was part of this. They ambushed us. And it just so happened that the Oregonian was down there at the peaceful time asking. So, filming people dancing, chanting. They got ambushed. They didn't know that the Oregonian was in the crowd, and they didn't cut the cameras. The Oregonians running through the couch. They can't breathe. They can't see. And what's right about it is we are protesting them using an excessive amount of force, and they're justifying it by saying, well, there were too many of you in the street. We didn't tell you that was unlawful. We just pulled up on you because there were too many of y'all. And then we smoked y'all out. We didn't tell you we were coming. We didn't announce ourselves. you just saw flashbangs and smokes coming and then you couldn't fucking breathe. That's what's right. Yeah, it's Black Lives Matter, but it's also, we're exposing everybody. They pushed a 65-year-old man down. What's right about it? 75?
Yeah.
Motherfucker fell over and cracked his head and is bleeding out his ear. Mm-hmm. And you watch the cop who pushed him, he goes, and someone tried to pick him up and they're like, no.
One officer tried to pick him up.
They're like,
just leave him.
They
and
let him
then
lay
they
there.
all quit because they suspended the 2 who were part of that. They all quit.
No, they resigned.
No,
They're saying that they're still on
they resigned from the swap force.
They need to be
to
fired.
the point that, well, we're doing our job. No, you're not. That motherfucker was not harmful. I don't care. I'm not the biggest man, but if that man, that white old man, walked up to me, and I had riot gear on, sir, please get out of the way. Keep walking. We can escort you out. What's he gonna do? Punch me in the face like a fucking light punch, like a feather? Like, no. No, you pushed a 75-year-old man and then said on live television, because they caught it on live television, he tripped and fell. You didn't even edit the push. He tripped and fell. If I go like this and Sam goes like this and falls on his head on the concrete, I could get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
If he cracked his head on the fucking concrete because I pushed him, jokingly, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to put your hands on anybody. So what's right is, we're protesting that. They're mad that we're protesting that. What's wrong about it is because the media is not shit and they really, cash out on propaganda. They're showing us standing on the cars or looting, not us standing there peacefully for 35 minutes and the police couldn't believe that there were 2,000-3,000 people in the middle of the street. That's why they shoot at you at a tactic. It's called, I can't remember what I read yesterday, but it's like the domino tactic or something. And what they're doing is they're trying to split everyone up to subgroups while you're running. Because slowly, if they can just come after, if we go from, okay, there are 30 of them. There are 3,000 of us standing looking at them. If you shoot at us and we bum rushed you,
you wouldn't be able to get
you
anybody.
can't do nothing.
Right.
You might die. You might get trampled.
You're going to take out maybe 1,000
so
people.
So it's, okay, let's split up the 30, bring 10 from this side, bring 10 from this side, and 10 from this side, so it looks like we're mobbing deep. But if there are 30 of us, and we all throw 3 flashbangs, and those blow up in the middle of the crowd, and it blows up, and as that's blowing up, you didn't see the tear gas coming up. And these are all they got all military grade stuff now from the National Guard. They have an IRAD cannon. That is, if that's not police brutality because we're protesting, that's crazy. So you're hitting us with the 360 decibel, and our pain threshold is 150. What are you trying to do? Kill us?
So let me. So what is right about this?
So what's right is we're showing what we're protesting.
Okay.
Police brutality.
So what's that creating? So what's that creating? Yeah, you're right. But what's
it's creating. Breonna Taylor's case got brought back up.
Yeah.
That shit's been good for what? How long has that been? 6 months maybe.
No.
Kendrick Johnson's has been 7 years, and that's getting real.
They're bringing cases up because they're realizing. A man asked us last night. He said, "So how long do you guys think this is gonna go on?" And all of us in unison, it was easy as money. All of us in unison were like, "Well, if you see us out here tomorrow, you'll know that we're not gonna stop being out here until we get what's right." Because what are you gonna do? Shoot lethals at us? I can't tell you how many people I saw last night who had guns visible. Like I said, Oregon, I found out, Oregon is an open carry state if your clip is not in your gun, and I will state that, I apologize, I had mine. The Proud Boys are out there. You're not going to run up on me in your truck and come get me. That's bizarre. It's we're going to be out there until it's time that they give us what we want, because we're peacefully trying to get what we want, and they are aggressively telling us, how dare you come to us and stand your ground on some shit that we know that's going on. But what do you want us to do? Stop? I came here so I could legally attack black people. What the fuck would I stop for? There are cops on camera last night who were getting out of their cars, running up on us and shooting us, and then running off and driving off. There were cops getting out of their cars, flipping us off, shooting at us, peacefully walking away, getting out, hopping out on foot, and just start shooting. We're walking away. What do you mean? What do you mean? You know, like if that's not what we're protesting for, then I don't know what we're protesting for.
So
Please leave. Okay, we're leaving.
So
You pull up on us and shoot at us with smoke bombs, flashbangs, concussion grenades. You have a fucking militarized weapon on the car that can knock 300 of us down at one time.
yeah.
What are you doing?
And I just want to piggyback off what you're saying. I think that for like cops or people in power, the ultimate fear, I don't think it has anything to do with color.
Right.
I think it comes to people have a fear of the awakening within inside of you.
Yeah.
Because the thing that people, education, it's scripted, right?
Yeah.
So if you say, okay, I can learn your education, but I also know that there are things that you can't teach me that are just innate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they don't want you to access, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that if you can, like, I don't think that Black people, people of the African diaspora, like, I don't think we realize how strong we are. Who else do you know throughout history has been able to take all of this and still be where we are?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it's not great. Yes, our unity isn't there, but we are a resilient people.
As fuck.
And I think that if we could all realize that, people wouldn't know what hit them.
And that's the problem. They're realizing that if we keep coming together and unifying like we are, they're like, well, if they ever did really want to revolt, and then this is how they're going to act.
Right.
And there are white people amongst us on that same bullshit. Like, we all have to just come together. Who, even if you don't fully understand it, we've got white people who are also like, oh yeah, no, this is extreme bullshit. Like, what do you, the Adidas saw it at the protest. They said, white allies. They look like they're about to press. Please come up front. They booked it to the front. They booked it. My homeboy looked at, he had his cigarette, he said, and he heard that, and he went, and he looked at me, and he goes, walked up front, didn't come back. I was like, bro, and he was like, when I hit him the next day, he was like, bro, they said white allies to the front, and he was like, I'm standing for you. Like, he was like,
so let me ask you this. This excites me. This is what I was asking. So
they're seeing Mexicans, blacks, Russians, Asians,
come
together. For something
because
that they can't believe. When you wake up, they're scared now.
When you wake up, you create a new reality.
You are
wake
scared.
up each day, right?
You
go to bed.
You would have told
every day. People tell you to every day
that pill
attack
right
the
up
day
your
like
ass.
it's a whole different day. It's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're seeing right now is something that they haven't seen before.
They
And I
can't
think we
believe
are in
this
a
shit.
different time period. Look at everything that's going on. Nothing is a coincidence.
Nothing.
Miss Rona.
Nothing.
And I think that those people and the people that are in power,
They're shitting the bed.
it's like somebody opened the pen at a farm and all the animals
All
got out,
animals
and now
are-
they're trying to
and
gather
then-
them back in, but
and
they
they're not
can't.
listening.
Because
the
you can't
sheepdog's
go
not
back
herding the
from it.
sheep. The sheepdog's looking at him, man, I'm tired today.
I'm done.
And they're like, well, holy fuck. I've
I'm
got
done.
100
Okay.
over there.
So-
I've got 100 over
Okay.
there. And you can't
Okay.
come get them.
Okay, so y'all, I really love this, but I gotta bring this to end.
Yes.
This is my favorite program first so far. Oh my god.
I would love to
Oh
have
my
my
God.
sister come by.
Oh my god.
sometime.
I think
This
I'm gonna
needs
do
to
more
be
of
like
these.
a.
I think this.
Weekly.
I think
Let's do it next
we're
week,
gonna do
Saturday.
more of these. So, did I capture everything you wanted to say? So, if you had to do anything different to create a new reality,
Or any, like, do you have an ask for,
What do you have an ask
like,
for the reality?
how you would like for things to, turn out, change, be different, and stay that way?
so what would your big ask be?
I would like people to do like two things. Like, people need to stop surrounding themselves like around like yes men. You need people that are gonna call you out. You say or do something that's like extremely out of pocket, and you don't have a single person in your corner that's like, you need to check yourself. That's one of the first problems, because you're just gonna go around in life being like, well, I'm always right because everybody agrees with me. And then people need to surround themselves around people that always ask questions, and they need peers that can provide insight, not someone to educate them, because you shouldn't rely on other people to like give you information that is like available to you, like in whatever source you can find. But I feel like people see things like on the internet and like instead of like sitting there and being like, well, why would this person behave the way they do? They just spew something that like subconsciously they just typed it out. Like they didn't even take the time to think. They're just like, oh, what I'm seeing, I'm just gonna like write out a reply. I'm not gonna think I'm not gonna contemplate or consider why they're really doing what they're doing. I'm just gonna go off what I've been doing my whole life because I'm not gonna check it. Yeah. And I think I don't know how people can go about like turning into like inward and questioning things, but that's like one thing I noticed. A lot of people aren't inquisitive enough. Like we see stuff and we just like we see it and we accept it. We don't like acknowledge what like is actually happening.
Everything.
Yeah, question what?
Everything.
Huh. Okay, what about you, Makita? So what if you had a big ask for things to be different? What would that be? The big ask you would ask of the universe to be different for people? What would you like to see changed? And how would you like to be that if that's possible?
Thank you. Come back to me.
Sam, do you have anything? What would your big ask be?
My big ask? I mean, honestly, one of my biggest asks I'm seeing happen more rapidly as time goes on. A lot of my white friends, a lot of my Hispanic friends, Asian friends, they're all, using their certain privileges to help the cause of, honestly, the human race. It's been amazing. Like I'm seeing these 10, 12, 13-year-old white kids, TikToking, recording their parents just spouting some racist
bullshit
and exposing them, and like if they can somehow overcome the teaching of what is the social construct of racism, I personally have a lot of faith. So I believe the thing that I ask the most is happening slowly but surely. Okay. And I'm starting to see the change I want to be in the world, and I'm trying to do my part to help speed it up. Basically, is what my purpose is, I believe.
Thank you. What's your big ask? What do you like to see different?
I just want everyone to be in the allowance of change, and just like I said earlier, keeping an open mindset on things, because it's like, if you don't, then you're really never gonna be down with anything to change, because you're so used to what's going on that, like, especially the more privileged folks who like it does not pertain to you. So it's like, those are the people we need to stand the fuck up and say something, because if the people it doesn't pertain to don't do nothing, then it really won't be nothing, because those are the people who don't see the problem.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I was on my coworker yesterday, and he was like, I think Damian Lillard's a real piece of shit now because he was at that protest, and it was like, that's a black man standing for black people. Why would he not go? Enlighten me, So like, and that right there, that's him not being open to someone you'll never meet ever in your life is a piece of shit, and you can't stand him because he went and stood up for himself and his people. If that's not the biggest racist shit I've heard in the last year, then I don't know what it is. Like, he's obviously not open to change, because...
So do we need him to be open to change for things to change?
No. Okay. Fuck no. Okay. Hell no. But it's just funny that there are
people. So you just have some awareness about it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's funny that there are people who like are all for that systematic shit. Like, you just opened your mouth and said some ignorant shit. Like, someone that you'll never meet is not a not shit human being.
Yeah.
Because they want change, and you don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, but so yesterday, like, you didn't resist and react to what he said.
A little, but not really.
No.
I mean, you were like, so I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you asked him a question instead of, instead of like attack.
Yeah.
Not that that's what black people do. I'm just saying that's what the white people are trying to get. They're trying to provoke.
They're trying to provoke.
And when you don't do that, and you're just like, you ask a question, like, they don't fucking know what to do with that.
Because like I said,
and he didn't.
bounced
And then,
back.
but then he thought about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I guess that really doesn't make any sense because I like you."
Yeah. Like,
So-
how do you, yeah, and that's the problem.
Question their own mentality.
It's no, because that's the truth.
That's why I
Because
mean, it's I'm
because
going to cut you
you're one
off.
of the good ones.
Yeah.
But when I wear my Black Lives Matter mask at work, I wear it at work because it's not a political statement.
It's not.
I would have if they had told me I couldn't wear it, I would have brought hell and high water for that place.
Set it off. Yeah.
But I'll be wearing it, and we have a lot of we have a customers. I work in the cannabis industry. Everybody of every walks of life smoke cannabis.
Yeah.
You have Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, men, women, trans, cisgender, non-conforming. Everybody, white supremacists, they smoke weed. That's why I don't even understand why there's all these different political agendas about cannabis. But further to my point, you can tell the second they walk in, the customers that have racial biases. It's apparent to the people of color, it's apparent to the people that are white coworkers. You can tell. They won't make eye contact with you. You'll ask them for help. They say they won't need help. The second a white person asks them if they need some help, they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you. Sometimes those people, there's nothing you can do. There's only people of color on the floor. One of us is going to have to help you. I've got Black Lives Matter on my face. What are you going to do about it? I'm the kindest person you could possibly ever meet, especially at work. I'm in customer service industry. That's my point, is to be kind, sell you your product, make you feel good about what you're getting. You can tell these people look at me and they're just angry because they see BLM on my face and they're like, I want to dislike you, but this guy's treating me so nicely. He just made a joke that made me laugh. Mm-hmm. And you see the confliction in their brain, like, how can this person who I think has like such a outlook on, the world that I don't understand, because I'm honestly privileged enough to not understand. Why can I not dislike this person even though I already have this set bias and almost dislike for this person just because of a phrase on his face? And so that's the thing, is I try to tell people is when you're educating people that don't get it, make them question their own mentality. Don't force them to look at yours. Make them think about, why am I thinking this way?
So you ask them to stay in question.
Mm-hmm.
Gia, say more about the good one. If you want.
I don't know how I'm gonna put it into words, but I guess I can start with an example. Well, actually, I know you still had a statement to make.
Go ahead.
You go first.
But to put in an example to kind of showcase what I was trying to get at is at Campus High School, there weren't too many Black kids, especially after Halim's class left. We could count on two hands. There's 7 African American students, and at Campus High School when I was there, and none of my friends, I didn't have any Black friends until a friend moved from freaking Texas. But it was me and then 2 Chinese girls and 1 girl who's Pakistani and Indian, and then one who was half Vietnamese and half white. And so that was my friend group. I was the only Black girl, but they didn't treat me any differently. But I remember this other Black girl, she was one of the nicest girls. She was spunky. She didn't have as much attitude as me, but I guess to them, any if you're abrasive in any kind of way, they're oh yeah, they got an attitude, it's already the persona, the angry Black girl. Mm-hmm. But she loved to sing, all that, and she didn't have any Black friends. But I remember one of my friends to me was saying how she didn't like that Black girl, and I was like, oh, why don't you like her? And she was like, I don't know, but you're not like her, and that's why I like you. And I was like, well, what does that even mean? But then the conversation was already deaded because she didn't think I was going to go further and be well, I want to hear a real reason. You don't like people sometimes, but when you yourself don't know why you don't like them, then maybe you might want to reevaluate your stance. Mm-hmm. And so her and I were different in the sense that I don't know why she didn't like her actually, because to me, she was more conforming than I was in that school, and yet they still weren't trying to accept her, but I couldn't really care to fit in with other groups, and she still was trying to make a point I was, I guess, easier to get along with and relate to, even though neither, like her and I, we don't come from like similar backgrounds. Like we don't have like similar interests. We just got along. Like I became friends with people that were just nice enough to me. And that was something I'd say back then I kind of settled with friendships because, you know, you're fortunate to have a friend in high school. But yeah, like, you know, they try to pit you against one another to make you feel as if you're better than someone who, like, what makes you better than them, you know? And so I feel like that was what the attempt she was trying to make by saying she didn't like the girl. But then also I think you can look at that like in a bigger sense with like celebrities, where how, you know, A$AP Rocky, when he was arrested in Sweden and he was locked up, prior to that arrest, he had gotten an interview and was saying like he could care less about like what was happening in Ferguson because he lives in Beverly Hills. What does that have to do with me? Well, first of all, you're black. Do you know why they're protesting, you know? But then when he got locked up in Sweden, he was like, I need someone to help me. Like, you guys protest for me. Like, get me out of here. And who was it that protested for him? It was African Americans. You didn't see your white fans be like, free A$AP Rocky. Well, you know, a couple of fans maybe. But the main point is your people came and supported you. And then as soon as you got out, you kind of for a little dabbled in activism. I put it in quotes because people do it for clout and trying to, you know, reach certain groups that otherwise wouldn't even like mess with him or his music. But I put him in like the complacent category because he's like, well, since I'm making money, I'm not like the rest of these black folks. And it's like, what does that even mean? Because it just doesn't make any sense. It don't make no sense.
Lil Wayne's the same way. Lil Wayne is so completely
and I can't believe
from
it.
reality. He said because a white man signs his checks, racism doesn't exist. That's how far removed from reality.
So here's the piece about it. It's not far from the reality. It's of this reality. I want you guys to get that. That's perfect in this reality. In this reality, certain things happen. In the opening scene or the middle scene of Matrix, the blue pill and the red pill.
Yep.
Part of it is, do you want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes? And later on, I can't remember the other dude who actually turned on him. It's like he came back and he was at dinner with the computer people. I can't remember. Cypher. And he was like, man, I don't want to be a part of this because some of the celebrities see how fucked up this is. And it's like, give me the steak. Give me the cheesecake. Give me this wine that I know that's not fucking even real, but I gotta have it because that shit over there is nerve-wracking. Makita, we need to close out this.
Okay, yes. Yes. I guess for me, like, there are two things. Just hearing what everybody has to say, and then just, I don't know. I think back to what I was saying about, like, we're human beings on this planet, but there's so much we don't know. So I feel like humility is something that we don't really, like, we haven't really tapped into. And I think, like, understanding that aspect, I think everyone could use a little bit more humility. And then probably my other thing for like that I would want to get out of life is myself just fully like understanding, and I still have like so far to go in my journey that hopefully I'll get there. But like I was just thinking, like, you know, we're always we want to be like these important people or do these important things in life, and not everyone wants a grand life, but to some degree, you know, people want more money, more this, more that, what have you. And so I think, like, understanding, like, the real reason why we're here, none of us really know. I mean, some people, like, might say they have experiences of, like, oh, like, I'm, like, you know, like, you hear about people, like, oh, I died, and, like, I got to see a bit of something of this, I tapped into something else. Like, there's something that we can't see because of where we are. Someone has a microscope on us, or something has a microscope on us, because we don't know how far space goes. We don't even know what's beyond space. Like, this could be a world within another world, or what if we're all dreaming? Like, you know, my mind be going places, and so I think understanding that, like, we're not as important as we think we are, but at the same time, we're more important than we think we are. Like, on a microscopic level, everyone needs to remove themselves from their ego. As an individual, there's only so much you can accomplish, right? But if you realize on like that aspect, like get your head out of your ass, basically is what I'm saying. and then understanding that there's a larger picture. We might not be able to see it yet, but I feel like in my heart there's always a larger picture. So if you understand that, and that you're more important than you think you are in that aspect of like, as a collective, there's something that we could do. I think that's what I would want out of this reality because of where we're at and the fact that we haven't realized that. Because I think once we realize that, like that would be the ultimate goal if there was like a test or something, like, because that's something that's never been done. Everyone being able to work together. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's life, maybe that's this reality, but like...
What if
Maybe that's what you can bring to this reality. Because if you be it...
Then it starts to change.
Then it starts to change. And if you be it, you're an invitation for other people to choose it because they can see it.
Yeah.
And so you can bring things that you ask for to...
This reality.
From the reality to this reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And create a different space.
So in closing, people, here's to the end of another episode. This is probably so far my most dynamic reality. Please put your comments below.
Like,
Let me know what
comment,
you think.
subscribe.
Scott, thank you. Say that again
Ring
for me.
that
What's
bell.
Like, comment, subscribe,
Repost.
ring that bell.
Ring that bell.
Repost.
Bring it.
Press
And remember,
wherever that
if you
button
mad,
is.
stay mad.
Yeah, and leave us the fuck alone.
Deuces, y'all. Peace.
Bye.